I understand spring training has begun for Major League Baseball, or is about to. I'm not sure which. But it makes me think back about some things about baseball. When I was young and went to baseball games, there was just kind of a baseball field and people who watched the game and some announcer somewhere calling things out. But as I started to go, there was a guy named Charlie Finley who changed the game a lot. I may have mentioned Charlie before. He had a little rabbit that came up out behind the home plate and handed balls, and baseball games became more of a circus than a ball game. In fact, you kind of forget to watch the game. In fact, one of my favorite things to go to a ball game now is they have 6 baseball caps, and a ball gets under one of them, and it's animated on the screen. So you see it up there, and the ball moves under the cap. It keeps moving around. You have to watch it with your eyes to do it, to figure out where it is, and you guess which one it is. And I'm pretty good at that. And while I'm doing that, somebody steals home. I don't know. I'm not watching the game. The games are so much activity. And that led to something that happened several years ago. You may remember it. But they started to have cameras that would look straight down behind from the pitcher right to the catcher and the batter and the umpire. So you'd see in the TV screen a wonderfully framed image of the batter and the catcher and the umpire, and then some people in the stands right there. And right there in the stands, for many, many baseball games, somebody would stand with a sign that said John 3:16, this text that we just heard today. Right there behind the ball player, John 3:16. Now, unless you read the Bible constantly, you're wondering, what in the world is that? Is that 3 strikes, 16 balls? What is a batter named John? No, it's a Bible passage. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son. So that's John 3:16. Now, I've thought often that that's an unfortunate placement for that, because when I think of a ball player and a catcher and an umpire, strike 1. And then another one comes, strike 2. And this is the one that I always find interesting. 3 strikes, you're out. Just like that, just all in one big motion. 3 strikes, you're out. He's out. I think it's unfortunate that this Bible passage gets framed by 3 strikes, you're out. It is as if, for God so loved the world that if you get Jesus and you are saved, you're going to be all right, everything's fine, and everybody else is out. They stopped 1 verse too soon, because it goes on and it says that God did not send Jesus into the world to condemn the world, but so that the world might be saved through him. I don't know how we get this all wrong. If you love the world, you don't want to condemn the world. If you love the world, you want the world to be saved. It's a blooming mess, isn't it? There's all sorts of problems in the world. You don't want to just condemn the world. 3 strikes, you're out. You don't want to get rid of the world. You want to transform the world. Somehow we've got this all wrong. We think of religion and God about condemning. There's a whole universe of folks who are eager to condemn and to push out and to sort and get those in and those out and keep the ones out really out. There's been a whole tradition in the history of the church to build a wonderful big fence around the communion table, a way to keep everybody out. You have to be just right to come to this table. You better get everything right. That's the way it's been said. You got to have everything right to do it. Folks, I've got bad news for you. You can't get everything right. You can't do what it takes to be able to be fed by God, loved by God, redeemed by God, saved by God. You just can't do it. And so if the fence says you got to have it together before you can come, well, we're all in trouble. But God did not enter the world to condemn the world, but to save it, to make it better, to make it holy, to make it loving, to make it a home. That's the power of that. And I just wish they'd move that sign out. Actually, they did. There was a Supreme Court case, all kinds of crazy things about that, John 3:16. But remember John 3:17, not to condemn. Not to condemn, but to bring home, to save. Amen.